guys. All right, so I'm gonna get right into it. The last video that I did, we were talking about running into people in my past, and this one basically after a couple of, thank God, a couple of situations that could have gone really bad. Had some hits put out on me, and had some heavy guys coming after me because of my past, and one of the things that had happened, and I'm not saying this, it's just a story in my life. I'm not blaming, hurting, finger pointing. So if the people I'm talking about are watching this, don't be hurt. It's just a time in life. But again, these are all real stories, you guys. So there's people that are gonna watch this, and I'm sure they're gonna feel kind of bad about it, but I got to get the message out. I'm sorry, but I'm not saying names. I'm not going to tell anybody who's who. But the people that are in these are going to know that it's them, because they're going to know what's up, and they're going to know it's me. So I hope nobody's offended. Mean nothing but love. These stories are out there to try to help people understand that life is hard sometimes. So, but what was going on was, I had given my life to the Lord, had to leave some of my old friends and my old lifestyles and everything. And one of the things that had happened is my girlfriend had cheated on me several times. And, it was hard for me, because that was part of my rejection, and my bitterness in life was just, I couldn't find anybody that really loved me, that really cared about me, that I felt like, and I didn't understand why she would go off and cheat on me, and that really hurt me in my life. But it also made me bitter and angry. But there was a point where I just didn't care anymore. I didn't care if she went off and cheated on me, because I knew that we weren't going to be a lifetime together. And when I gave my life to the Lord and I had left her, a lot of things started happening, and a lot of things that I had done, like, during the Rodney King riots and stuff. Buddy of mine, stupid kids, but we would go into LA, we'd go into Compton, and we'd go in there looking just to see what it was like, and see what kind of problems we could run into. And there was a couple situations. One of them was, we pulled up in his little Samurai, and at a light, probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and I looked over, and there was a car full of gangbangers. It was an old Impala. It was a super sick car, but old lowrider. And we were in his Samurai, and I looked over and I saw these guys had a bunch of guns, and then I looked over to my right, and this cop pulled up, and I see these guys on the left, like loading up, like they're charging, they're loading their chambers and everything. There's probably 6 guys, and 3 in the front, 3 in the back. And I'm like, man, all bandanaed out and plaid shirted out and wearing their colors. And I was just like, couldn't see any faces, which was weird, but you could see that, you could see their guns and all that. We were a little higher than they were. And all I remember is the darkness, and the light changed to green. And I told my friend, I said, man, you got to get out of here, dude. Like, this is going bad. And as soon as we pulled forward, we just heard, we didn't even look back. We just heard pop, 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 pop. And I don't know how many dozens of rounds went off, but that's all you heard was pop, 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 pop. And don't know if they killed that cop. Don't know if the cop even knew, because he was on the other side of us. But we took off, and we didn't go back, man. We were so scared, and we were just like, dude, we got to get out of this area. And this was during the riots where they were killing people on the streets. And we went down there because we were just stupid kids, and we were looking for trouble. We thought it'd be cool to go down there and shoot somebody, and thought we were tough. But at that point, I was in such a dark place, and my girlfriend had cheated on me, and we had split up at that point. And the guy that she was sleeping with, I was beating this poor kid up every weekend. I would make it a point to go find this kid. And I didn't care where he was. I didn't care who he was with. I was going to beat him. And I went to his house. I blew his dad's Cadillac up with him 80s. And we'd drive by and they'd have the garage open. And I'd drive by in my buddy's Mustang. And there'd be 3 or 4 guys with me. And we'd take big old rocks and we'd just hurl these rocks into the garage where these kids were just in there partying on a Friday night or a Saturday night. And they called it rodeo. We would just rodeo these guys, man. We'd hang out the windows and we'd just start hurling these huge, river rocks at them. And we'd drive off laughing. We thought it was funny. And one day I was walking into In-N-Out, and In-N-Out was the big hangout in Southern California at the time, and that's where we went for everything, cars, always hundreds of kids at the In-N-Outs. And I lived in Laverne, so we had an old one of the original Route 66, In-N-Outs there, and just where we went. We went there to race, we went there to party, we went there to pick up on girls, whatever. And I pull into this In-N-Out in Glendora, and I'm with my buddies and 3 or 4 of us and our girls. And that particular night, my girlfriend and I had fixed things at this point, and we're working on it anyways. And we pull up and she's like, we gotta go. And there was this kid's truck sitting there by In-N-Out. He was inside with his friends, and she's like, we gotta go. I go, no, we're going in. And she was like, no, I'm not going in there. And I grabbed her hand and I drug her in and out. And the second I walked in the door, he kind of puffed his chest up because he was with all of his football buddies. He was a little short dude, and but he was with all of his linebacker friends and all these kids from this boys' school that we had. And he kind of puffed his chest up when I walked in, like, yeah, what are you gonna do now? And when I went to walk by him in order, and man, I just snapped. And when I snapped, I literally grabbed him, and I was walking by, and I just grabbed him, and I pushed him through the metal doors, and we ended up in the kitchen, and I just started pummeling him in the kitchen, and this In-N-Out, and obviously people are screaming, yelling. The whole place is full of kids because it's a Friday or Saturday, whatever day it was. And I just grabbed this kid and I just started beating him, and ended up ripping him back up, threw him over the counter, and just basically proceeded to beat this guy. And none of his friends stepped up. None of his friends did anything. And I grabbed him and threw him out in the parking lot, and I ordered my food, and it was funny because it was like nothing happened. In the In-N-Out people and in the people at the restaurants, they didn't freak out. It's like they were used to stupid kids. So I ordered my food, did my thing, and then we got our food and we start to walk out, and like 6 of his buddies are outside, huge kids, and they're all standing there. And one of them looks at me, and I just looked at him and I go, dude, get out of my way. And he stops and he looks at me and he goes, hey man, I just want you to know that he deserved what he got. We told him not to sleep with her. We told her who you were. We warned him. Everybody knew who I was in town. And apparently this kid just didn't know. And I didn't know him. He went to a private school. I wasn't somebody I cared about. But I spent a whole year before I came to the Lord. I spent the whole last year beating this kid. Every weekend it was my goal to go find him and beat him. And I was with my girlfriend again, but I still made it a point to go out and find this kid. And one time, the same guy that, she may or may not know this, but the same guy that called me in the last video that I was saying, called me and told me that my house had been broken into. That same guy, he had a red convertible GTO, and we were just kids at the time. I think 16, 17 years old. I don't know what we were. she would go up to Pismo a lot, and she had a guy up there that she hung out with, and my friend just happened to be in Pismo one day, and with his family, they'd go up there on vacation, and he was up there, and he actually saw her with a guy. And he calls me up, and he's like, hey man, you know, I'm sorry dude, but you're my brother, I'm gonna tell you what's up. And he goes, I saw your girl on the beach kissing a dude. And of course I snapped. I completely snapped. He goes, what do you want me to do? And I go, don't do anything. I'm gonna come up there. So he drives all the way from Pismo, drives down, picks me up. We get a case of Mickey's Big Mouse at the time, you know, and we start driving back up there. One, not supposed to drink and drive. Two, you shouldn't have gone up there. Shouldn't have gotten beer. We were 16, 17, but I'm not condoning any of it. I'm not saying it's good. It was not good, but we're on our way up there, and he's like, so how's this gonna go? I go, dude, I'm just gonna stay on the parking lot. You're gonna go beat the dude for me, and we'll figure it out. So we got there. Obviously, it's a different day. They're not there. But all of a sudden, here he pulls up in the parking lot. And my buddy goes, that's him, dude, that's him. And she comes up, they hug each other, give a little kiss. And I'm just raging. I want to kill the kid. And the funny thing is, I wasn't mad at her. I was upset with him. And that's one thing that's kind of weird is when that stuff goes on, it's funny how we get mad at one person, but the person we're with, it's not, you know, it's obviously the other person's fault that has no idea that I even exist, or who I am at the time, or that he should be worried about it, that I was a psycho nutcase. But so my friend goes down on the beach after they laid their blankets out and stuff, and he goes down, he just starts beating this poor kid, just beats him into the ground. And he kind of laughs, and then he sits up and he points over at his car, and I'm sitting up there, and I just flipped him off and had a beer in my hand. It was a convertible, so I was sitting and just flips him off, and off we go. And my girlfriend calls me, she's like, oh my gosh, it's not what you think. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so again, we broke up probably for the 500th time. But those are the things that I dealt with as a kid. So relationship wise, I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust, even when I got with my wife, you know, I was just like, man, there's no way this chick's gonna stay with me. She's too good for me. Her family's too good for me, you know, and I battled with the fear of her leaving me. Even as a Christian, I was just like, I'm not good enough for her. I'm never gonna be enough for her. And as sad as it is, there's certain days in my life, you know, we've been married for over 30 years now, and there's certain days in my life where I still feel that. I still feel that I'm not gonna be good enough, that she could do better, she should be with somebody else. And it's funny, because we're happy, love each other, she's my best friend, and we got two amazing kids, two amazing grandkids at this point in our lives, and amazing, you know, son-in-law. My son's got an amazing girlfriend. I mean, our lives are perfect, to be honest. Everything's really good, but it's funny how Satan's always there putting a little bit of weird junk in your eye. You know, you're not good enough. And here I am, you know, I'm 54 now, and I'm still battling with these things in my life. So as time's going on, you know, here I am, I'm beating up all my girlfriends, you know, lovers, whatever you want to call them. But then we would get back together, and we'd be okay for a while, and then she'd do it again, and then we'd be okay for a while. And one day, the way that I actually found out about the dude, you know, that I beat up for a year was I got a venereal disease. I got a disease from her sleeping with this guy. I woke up one day, man, and I just had something bad going on. And I knew I hadn't been with any chicks, because I did not cheat on her. I wasn't going to cheat on her. It just wasn't my style. And I would flirt with people and stuff like that, but I never cheated on my a girlfriend. It just wasn't something I did. And because of what it did to me, I didn't want to do it. You know, it just wasn't, I didn't want to have an excuse. But kind of a weird moral there. But what happened was I went to the doctor. I'm like, hey doc, man, I'm waking up, I'm on fire, all these things are going on with my body. And he's like, well, the only way you can get that is from a girl that's been with a guy with it. And I was like, well, I knew I wasn't with another girl. So that's why I beat this poor guy, was because he gave me something that I didn't want to have. And when I asked her, she denied it. And then I told her, so I've been to the doctor. And I know that if he had it, you have it, and you have it. She'd already been treated for it. And I told her, I said, I haven't been with anybody else, so I know it's you. And it's one of those things where that's the life you're in, man. I mean, and that lifestyle, when you're kids, the odds of you marrying the person that's your first girlfriend ever, the odds of you marrying her, it's pretty slim. Some people pull it off, and my hat's off to you, man. It's a battle, but you can do it. But there's a lot of situations in my life where that stuff, so all of that stuff with my ex, what it did is and then all of the stuff that I went into with my step parents, and my mom married, I think 4 or 5 times. My stepmom married 3 or 4 times. Stepdad married 3 or 4 times, and so I didn't have a stable relationship situation. I didn't have a situation that said, hey man, you're gonna be in a positive relationship someday. Didn't want to be married, just wasn't something I wanted, didn't want to have kids. I was a horrible example of a parent. Knew that I didn't want to have kids, which in all honesty was one of the reasons, even before I was a Christian, I didn't sleep around with a bunch of girls, was I was afraid of getting them pregnant and being a dad, and I wasn't going to leave my kid. So that fear kept me from being a cheater. It kept me from, going out and getting girls pregnant and doing stupid things. But it wasn't the right way to do things. It wasn't the right direction in my life that I wanted to go. But, and once I gave my life to the Lord, a lot of things changed. But, I had found one of my stepdads, that I'm friends with and stuff, that we've communicated, and he's my little brother's dad. And I actually caught him with a lady on there. They had a boat down in Newport Beach in Balboa. And I went down there to party with my friends and my girlfriend one time. We took our little case of beer and had a nice chest. We were gonna take the boat out. And I get down to the boat and I notice the lights are on and the cover's off, and it was a yacht. And when I went to get on the boat, the second I put my foot on the boat, I heard my stepdad go, ho, ho, hang on a second. And he comes out, he's got some shorts on, no shirt, no shoes, nothing. And I look inside and I see his naked girlfriend. And so basically I caught him cheating on my mom, my stepmom. And at that time in my life, I didn't care enough about her or their relationship to really care. I just told him, I said, hey man, we came down to party and want to use the boat. I don't care about what you're doing. And the funny thing is he would leave and let us party. But I never said anything to my mom, never said anything to my stepmom, I guess. And that's just the way my life was. It was, relationships sucked. They didn't have any standard in them. And that would happen several times, and then she'd get boyfriends and I'd come home and she'd be with a guy. And one day I came home late, early morning, whatever it was, and stayed the night at someone's house. And I came home and there was a Cadillac parked in my driveway. Didn't recognize it. And I went inside. My mom was with this dude. But I noticed when I walked by the Cadillac, the paint was melting off this Cadillac, and it was all over our driveway. And I was like, man, that's weird. I don't know what's going on with that. And the guy wakes up that's sleeping with my mom, and I go, hey man, there's something going on with your car out there. I don't know if like acid rained or what. You know, I'm a kid. I don't know what's going on. And he goes out there and he just starts snapping. Oh, I'm gonna kill somebody. He's raging. Come to find out, my stepdad had pulled up and seen the dude's car. He was friends with the guy. They grew up in the same town together. So he decided he was gonna pour acid on this guy's brand new Cadillac Eldorado. So he dumped a couple gallons of muriatic, sulfuric, whatever acid eats paint off of cars, and basically melted this dude's whole paint. So it was horrible, but was funny at the time. But you know, dude got what he deserved. You're not supposed to sleep with somebody's wife or their girlfriend or anything else. So, but that's all stuff that happened in my life going into this. So I'm being affected by this relationship issues. So I'm so insecure at this point in my life, and I'm so not feeling like I'm worth anything. So when I gave my life to the Lord, and he told me I had value, he told me that like these pastor guys would come up to me and go, man, you're called to do this, and you're gonna change the world, and you're gonna be this huge evangelist, and you're gonna have a ministry that affects the whole world. And they started encouraging me to do things. And basically what would happen is at this point in my life, you know, I've given my life to the Lord, you know, probably a year after all this junk happens. You know, I'm just at my wit's end, man. I'm suicidal. I had gone after a guy, cut me off. I don't remember if it's one of my other videos or not. I've done so many of them now. But this guy was a local dealer, and he cut me off, almost went off this cliff, almost died, damaged my car. And that's actually how I met Tiffany, was she was giving me a ride in her car to the skate park to pick up my chick. But that guy at the end, when he pulled a gun out on me and pointed it at me, and I didn't stop, that was kind of my tipping point, man. And that's when my life changed. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid of dying. And at that point, I realized that, you know, there's something wrong. There's something wrong in my head, that I'm not afraid to die. My friends, the same people that I grew up with and hung out with, the same kid that took me to Compton, and we lived with each other. His dad took me to church. All of these people in my life that I was messing with, and I didn't understand why they were there. And now all of a sudden I'm looking at my life and I'm just thinking, man, you know, I'm falling apart. But there was people put in my life long before I knew, or long before I saw it, that were there just seed planting in my life, just putting little positive things in my life, and I wasn't looking for them. And then when I became a Christian, I started noticing, hey man, there's people doing things. Those people praying for me, my old neighbors. I knew there was a reason. I knew there was something going on with my buddy's dad and the one that ran the sheriff's department and stuff. And I was just like, dude, that guy was praying for me. You know, and he wasn't pushing God on me when I was in trouble, but he was there praying for me. And those are the things that you look at and you go, man, I don't understand it. I didn't understand it at the time. But when we're in a situation like that, and we're coming on to these things, as these stories go on, and now we're going to step into my after Christ, you know, my BC days before Christ. We're kind of coming to the end here. And now is when the adventure starts in this book. Now is when the next 30 years goes on, and the things that I'm going to come across, the things that I'm going to see and share with you guys. If you're Christian, you may or may not understand it. If you're religious, I don't care what your belief is. If you deal with spiritual stuff, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of turmoil, because there's a lot of what you would call yin and yang, positive, negative, light and darkness, whatever, however you want to call it. But there's a lot of places in the next couple of chapters of my book that you see how God took me out of my past, but he didn't take me clear of it. So basically my past becomes my owner's manual, my map for my future. So what happens is he's gonna take the stories from my past and the hurts from my past and the experiences from my past, and for the next 30 years, he's gonna use these stories basically to help me help kids like I was. Street kids, drug addicts, troublemakers, punks. I run into gangbangers. There's a lot of things that end up happening. And so in this next chapter on what's gonna happen in the next video is I'm gonna share some of those. I'm gonna try to start from the beginning. But there is just thousands and thousands of stories. And I'm gonna pick out the ones that I feel really affect people in today's day. And one side of it is gonna be a God perspective, I guess you could say, from the Christian perspective, as far as who I was, the evangelist, the person that God challenged me to be, and the person that changed his life. And then it's gonna be the dark side. So there's a lot of light and darkness in the next, all of the stuff that's coming up. But I just want to share it with you guys. I'll try to be as transparent as possible without offending anybody. It is going into my book, so I'm sorry if you get offended with some of this stuff. I'm not choosing one thing over another or saying that this person's right, this person's wrong. I'm sharing my belief, and I'm sharing what changed my life personally in these. So I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, I believe in the Holy Spirit, I believe in the devil. I believe there's demons out there that are in charge and messing with us on a daily basis. I believe there's angels out there that are protecting us on a daily basis. A lot of people don't like to hear that. A lot of people think it's weird. I'm just saying from experience in my life, maybe you're not going through it, so how could you believe it? But I'm just saying, as you hear the next batch of the next chapters, I guess, you're gonna hear a lot of crazy stuff, and it is real. I'm gonna be very precise. I'm gonna try to really deliver it the way that it was and not try to sugarcoat it to be, I'm not trying to offend somebody, but I need you guys to understand the reality of all this stuff. And if I can't be real at this point, then I don't want to talk about it. It's really that simple. So I'm not judging, I'm not pointing fingers. This isn't what this is about. I'm just trying to give you guys a little hope. Hopefully this will touch your heart. You'll see that you're not alone if you're going through the negative parts. There's a lot of amazing stories, and God has used my wife and I and our family to change thousands and thousands of people's lives. And if you're one of those people, I would love to hear from you. If you're one of the people that were touched by us, I would love to know that you're watching this and that you're good. And there's so many people in these stories that I can't contact. I don't have contacts for them, and I'm hoping that just through the years of ministry and everything that we've done, that God will bring some of those people back, because I would love to sit down and do a video with people today and their life changes that we were able to be part of. I would love to go back 30 years and be able to go, hey man, thank you. And I've heard stories of that. People send me emails and find us on Facebook and whatnot. And they'll be like, hey man, you don't remember me, but you changed my life. Thank you. And that is the biggest honor I could ever ask for. And that's what the next chapters are going to be about, is just sharing those. So subscribe. Let me know how you guys feel. You need to talk, let's talk. Send me a message, and I promise I'm not the best internet guy and stuff, but I promise I will do my best to respond to anybody. I don't care if I get 1 million messages. I'll read them. I'll try to respond to them, because I'm doing this because I want to help people. I want people to find peace in their life, and I want them to know they're not alone. And if this helps you in any way, please let me know. All right, guys. Thanks.